I'm here at Creative Astro to do some experience to help me to be more prepared when I graduate in the industry. I'm going to ask Mark a few questions to help me along the way. So what is the best tip you can give me to help get into the industry?
Right, the best tip I can give you is you have to have a presence online, and you can achieve that by having a website. So the first thing is, I would say, register a domain name and get a website built. On that website now, this is where you want to showcase your work. So put all your portfolio work and all the work that you've done. So I would say that's one of the main things that you need to do to get exposure.
So how do I market myself? How do I make sure that people can see that?
Right, so in terms of marketing your website, I would say the best thing to do is use social media. Okay, so you want to make sure you're on Facebook. Facebook seems to be like the most popular one. So get all your friends on your Facebook page and promote all your work on Facebook, and make sure every time you post, say for example, a piece of work, redirect it back to your website and say, watch more from my website. So that's the best way to promote your website. You could also use Twitter, Google Plus, but I would recommend using Facebook.
So what do I need to do along the way?
So what you need to do along the way is to create a lot of content. And I would say go into how-to tutorials. So say for example you design a logo for a company. So create a video showing how you've done it. So that would generate a lot of interest in how you're doing it, because maybe it could be you have a skill or a way of doing it that is different to how a lot of people do it. And by doing that as well, you're actually teaching others how you do it. And by teaching, you're indirectly saying you know what you do, or you know what you're doing. So that's how I would go about it.
So do you think tutorials are good for me as well? So should I look at tutorials, and where can I find them?
Yeah, tutorials are good, and if you go on YouTube now, there's a lot of videos on how-tos. In fact, if you wanted to learn how to put a website together today, you could actually find those videos on YouTube. There's a ton of them. So I would say join on that and also create how-to videos. And as I mentioned, the best place to find them is on YouTube.
How do I get experience?
So that's a very good question, because a lot of guys and girls that leave university, the first thing they get into, this first stumbling block is, when they apply for jobs, is, do you have experience? And obviously when you say no, there's no job for you. So the way around that is to actually start doing live projects for companies. So I will start off with charities. Approach some charities and say, look, I'd like to help you design your website or design your logo or your branding. That's your first step of getting your experience. Because if you don't work on these live projects, how else can you showcase that you can do your work? So after uni, you've learnt all the practicals. Now you need to take you've learnt all your theory. Now you need to take all that theory into practicals. So that's one way. The second way is like what you're doing right now. Ask companies and get work experience. Some of these companies will actually allow you to work on live projects. And this is now where you can see how a project is executed and how it's done and all the steps that are needed. So it's all about educating yourself and then showcasing that this is what I've done for company A, company B, company C, and this is where I've got my experience. So I would say you're on the right track. So getting that work experience, work on your own projects, even self-motivated projects, like say you go on holiday, you could actually film that whole holiday, edit it, add some sound, and this is the work that you could show to show that you can do your stuff. So that's your experience.
So when I've graduated and I'm going for interviews, what tips do you have to make sure that I stand out above other graduates?
Fantastic, that's a very good question. Now, to stand out, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. If you have a compelling portfolio online, right, and you do all your how-to videos, and you've interviewed people in the industry, you've done a lot of work with charities or any organization that you can approach and offer free work, that in itself is brilliant, because a lot of the other guys there that you're competing with, they're relying on their CV and their degree. Well, what you're bringing to the table is a CV, right? Your degree plus the work that you've done. See, so that in itself is what's going to really put you above everybody else.
So I'm nearly finished my degree, but if someone was coming to you saying they're going to do a degree, what would your opinions be on it?
Right. I would say, now that obviously you're almost done, I would say complete your degree. But if you came to me and you were thinking of doing a degree, I would say don't bother with it. Mainly because our industry now, the creative industry, it's all about what you can do, right? And your skills. The degree itself doesn't really help you in getting the job or help you in acquiring those skills. I mean, I've done a degree myself, and to be honest with you, I didn't learn much from it. Most of what I've learned is what I've taught myself and what I've found online. So I wouldn't waste that 30,000. How much is it now?
9,000 a year.
9,000 a year. I mean, it's way too much. In our industry, if you want to go into photography, there's a ton of places you can find, tutorials on how to be a good photographer. You can buy the kit yourself. The university ain't going to show you anything different, or in fact, they'll be way behind, to be honest. So, yeah, finish off your degree, but don't rely on the degree in getting the job. Cover those things I mentioned in the earlier on. Get yourself known. Contribute to communities, design communities. Find Facebook forums where you can talk about design and all those places. Comment on design work. That in itself shows that you're enthusiastic and you're passionate about your career and what you need to go into. So yeah, degrees, I think they're overrated, to be honest, now at this point now.
Thank you very much for answering my questions and for your advice. I really look forward to my week's work experience here at Creative Astro.
And thank you very much for joining us, and I hope we can provide you with as much information as we can to get you ready for the design industry.
Thank you.